welcome. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I want to thank you for having me. Just one clarification. I did not create the designated courses. That would not be something that I would have done. I did the leadership team manuals, the ambassador manuals, and the RVP manuals. Designation is a whole nother level. That's what I love about NARPM, the education they provide you to be the best of the best. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about how to build a referral-based business. I'm going to talk about what is a referral, how to get them, how to find them, and if I have time, how to keep them coming and coming and coming and coming. For those of you who don't know me, maybe you've done some research on me, my claim to fame is I built a B&I franchise in Central Virginia from 0 members to 1,600 members in just 6 years. I did that, anybody want to take a guess how I did it? Through referrals. My previous business was a hotel guest directory. If you ever stayed in a hotel, there's a directory in the nightstand that tells you where the attractions are, how to use the phone, places of worship. I had the business of that for 4 years, and how I built that business was cold calling. How many people here hate cold calling? Raise of hands. Okay, I hated it. I was good at it, but I hated it. And I wished that one day that I would have a business that I didn't have to cold call. Well, in 1999, I got introduced to BNI, Business Network International. It's a referral-based organization around the world. And I just knew I had to work for that company. So I moved from south of Richmond, in Virginia Beach, up to Richmond, Virginia. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and I built BNI. But I swore to myself I was never going to make a cold call again. I wanted to do the referrals. And what I'll be sharing with you is some of the best practices and how I built a 1,600 member, very successful business that I eventually sold 13 years ago. Those of you who don't know me, this is interactive, so if you have questions, comments, things that you like to contribute, feel free to do that. I do not like showing up and throwing up on audiences, but I really like to customize what you want to get out of today. With that being said, I have a piece of paper here. What would you like to learn about building a referral-based business? What would you like to learn? What are you here to get out of today?
How much money?
How much money what?
I make.
How much money you can make? You can make as much money as you want through a referral-based business.
Realistically.
Realistically, okay? What else do you want to get out today?
Where do you find them?
Where do you find them, okay? Okay, there's going to be a 2-minute presentation. Yes!
How do you close on them?
How do you close on them? Well, let me tell you why I'm asking, because I've spoken on this topic all over the world, and people come with preconceived notions. One, they're just coming for lunch, they're coming to come to NARPM, they didn't even know today was about referrals. Some people want to know how to get referrals from their current customers. They want to know how to get more referrals for owners. They want to get, if you're a realtor, how to get more houses. If you're a plumber, how to get more plumbing referrals. I don't know what you want to get out of today, so I can just show up and throw up and just tell you my notes, but that's not going to give you the most out of today, right? And so what if I could teach you about the referral process, whether it's finding, getting them, closing them, finding, getting them, and repeating them, what would you truly want to get out of today? Yes?
The creative referral fee. In other words, what are you going to give the referee in exchange for the referral?
Referral fees, yes. I have that asked all the time. What else? Yes?
How do you get outside of your normal circle and get new people?
Normal circle, get new people. Why would you want to get new people? Is your current circle not giving you enough?
Right.
So how would we talk about getting more from your current circle so you don't have to go outside that circle? Now, that doesn't mean you won't go outside that circle, but I find that most people are not getting the most referrals from the people they already know.
What if you want to get a different type of business? I want to get out of Section 8.
Okay, gotcha. So that's a good question. How to get...
I'm stuck.
But you're the queen of it.
See, I only have 50 minutes, so I don't know if I can cover that. See me afterwards. Yes?
What is the best way to ask for a referral?
How to ask for referrals, yes. Okay? Yes?
Retention.
Retention in what way?
Retention of the referrals that you get.
Okay?
Like a timeline, how often to contact with them, which groups to put.
Great question. Great timeline. Yes?
So educated someone not only asking for referrals, but being able to give good referrals.
I only have 49 minutes now, so giving and getting. Got it. Yes?
How to say no to a referral?
How to say no. Ooh, you got to remind me. That's not part of this, but you definitely want to know the answer to that. How do you say no? Yes?
How many times should we ask for a referral?
How many times you should ask until they bleed, so. Just kidding. Okay, one more.
Best marketing strategy to get those referrals.
Best marketing strategy, okay. Great, so I will do my best to cover all of those. One more?
One more.
Yes.
I know B&I, so I'm going to tweak this a little bit. So educate them on what is what's a quality referral.
Well, that's a great way to start off. So I want to start off, what is a referral and what is not a referral? So how I would define a referral is that this person is expecting my phone call. So when I call them, not only do they know who I am, know what I do, they're actually excited to hear from me. How many people would like referrals like that? And that's what I would call a referral. A lot of times people give you a name and a number and call that a referral. That is not a referral, that is a lead. Use my name, that is a warm lead. I want the referrals that when I call somebody, they're expecting my phone call. They know why I'm calling. It's just a matter of scheduling time with them or talking to them about what we can do for them. That's what I mean by a referral. Because I've had the reverse end of that. When I started building B&I, how I did it was I moved to Richmond, Virginia. I knew 2 people, and they were the people who hired me. And I knew an ex-girlfriend, but I didn't think she counted, so I wasn't going to call her. And so I had to build it. And so what did I do? I called the people in Northern Virginia I knew, and Southeastern Virginia I know, and say, hey, I'm building a referral group. And this could be B&I, 212, Pro, LaTips. I only use B&I because that's my experience. And not everyone doesn't like B&I, and I get that. And there are people like other groups, but this can work to any networking group essentially. So I called the people of Northern Virginia, Southeastern Virginia, and said, I'm building this group, a B&I group. Do you have anybody that you think would benefit from it? Oh, yeah. Here's a guy, call him, tell him I called you. And I'm like, okay, I made a commitment that I'm not going to make a cold call. I said, would you do me a favor and call them before I call them? Because they don't know me. And 9 times out of 10, I said 10 out of 10 times, they said yes. So they called the person, set it up so that when I called them, they expected my call, they took my call, and they're willing to talk to me. That's the way to do business. Why build a referral-based business? It is the best way to build a business, hands down. Better than advertising, marketing, social media. Referral-based business is one of the best. Scaling it, it takes time. That's where the marketing and networking, all that stuff comes in. So my first experience with this, I called up this guy. His name was Kevin. And I said, hey, Kevin, I got the gatekeeper. And I said, I would like to talk to Kevin. And she says, who is this? I said, Jim Roman. She goes, who you with? And I said, B&I. She said, hold on a second. She puts me on hold. She calls Kevin, said this, da-da-da-da-da. She gets back and says, Kevin doesn't know anybody from BFI, the garbage company. I'm sorry, B&I. Oh, she goes, oh, I'm sorry. She gets back to Kevin, says, hey, Kevin, the Jim Roman, he's from da-da-da-da. She gets back to him. He doesn't know anybody from BTI, the communications company. I'm sorry. I said, I apologize. This feels like a cold call, and I don't make cold calls. Let me call Gordon, and let me reset this up. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. Click. I call up Gordon up in Northern Virginia, and I said, Gordon, what are you doing? I'm a referral-based business, not a cold calling. And I messed with him a little bit. He goes, hold on a second. He calls Kevin, and then he said, I apologize. And so a year later, we got together. He became a client of ours. And so that was my first experience of getting a bad introduction. And so I learned when you ask for people to introduce you, 9 times out of 10, 10 out of 10 for me, they say yes. Or they say, no, you don't want to mention my name. I probably don't want that as a referral. I probably will pass on that, me personally. So what is a referral? The person's not only expecting your phone call, they're excited to hear from you, and they take your phone call. That's what we're talking about. So how do you go about building a referral-based business? Well, you want to network. So one of the misconceptions that people, when I find them networking, they go too wide. I won't ask you, but a lot of times I ask people, how many networks do you belong to? People say 5 or 6. And I find if you're a member of 5 or 6 networks, you're going too wide, you're not going deep enough. You might want to write this down to remember this. It only takes 2, no more than 3 networks to build your business. 2, no more than 3 networks to build your business. For me, I had B&I. I joined a local chamber of commerce, and then a local association, like the Retail Merchants Association. But you really only need 2, no more than 3 networks. So if it were me and I were you, I'd be looking at the networks you belong to and see if you're really going deep enough. I remember talking to a CPA, and he wanted to get more referrals. He didn't know how to get more referrals, and he said, would you sit down with me? I said, sure. I said, what networks do you belong to? Thinking it would just be a couple. He was a member of 6. And I said, of those 6 networks you belong to, how many strategic partners have you found that you're having coffee with on a regular basis? He goes, 0. In other words, he was just showing up to network, and he wasn't working his network. So one of the ways of finding more referrals is the networks that you belong to. So you have NARPM, you have local chambers of commerce, there are associations that are in your area, whether it's the Plumbing Association. I'm a member of the Virginia Society of Associations. That's associations of associations. It is, and they're all over the country. So there's a Tennessee one, a Texas one, an Atlanta one, all over the country. So if I speak to a lot of associations, so guess what? I go visit those associations to get speaking engagements. So I know in the room there are people who are going to hire me. I just don't know who and when. But they're in that room. While you're networking, so before I go any further, how do you pick your networks is based on your target market. Based on your target market. When I joined the Virginia Society of Association Executive, I didn't know the number of associations that were out there. I just didn't know. There are hundreds of thousands. So I remember being at an event in Charlottesville, Virginia, sitting down with a guy, and I said, oh, what do you do? He goes, oh, I'm with the Petroleum Association. Oh, do you provide gas to that? He goes, yes. Oh, because so you provide it to the C-Store? Oh, no, that's the C-Store Association. Okay, so you're the Petroleum Association, which is the C-Store Association, and there's this other association. I just found out there's the Christmas Tree Association as well. The point of that is there is an association just about everything you want. And it's finding the right one that works for you. One that you feel comfortable with, you feel welcomed at, and that you can work that network to be able to give as well as receive. So I guess the question I would like to ask you now is what networks do you belong to that are most effective for you and your business? This would be the interactive portion of our workshop. Where do some of you belong to? NARPM. NARPM, yep. Are you working NARPM effectively?
I get all the Section 8 referrals.
You get all the Section 8 referrals. Yes! Good for you.
Nobody works them but me.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
But she wants to get out of it.
What networks do you belong to? So NARPM. Anybody belong to Rotary? Rotary, yeah.
Board of Realtors.
Board of Realtors? Yep.
Women's Council of Realtors.
Women's Council of Realtors, yep.
HOA Association.
HOA Association, yep.
Empire Board of Realists.
Empire of
Empire Board of Realists.
Realists, yep. Exchange Club, yep. Next question is, for those of you who are members of Rotary, the Board of Realtors, or any of the other ones, are you getting them involved in your other networks? Are you cross-pollinating them? In other words, when I moved to Richmond, I knew 2 people. They didn't know anybody. Their businesses were in Northern Virginia, Southeastern Virginia, North Carolina, and they didn't develop the Richmond market, so that's why I took that market. So I couldn't get any help from them, so the first thing that I did is join the Chamber of Commerce. Because the Chamber, what I love about the Chamber over referral groups is the referral groups are great. You see people once a week, but you only see 12 to 24 people, whereas the Chamber, you see hundreds of people. And since I knew no one, I can meet hundreds of people sooner that I can refer to the dozens of people that I met in BNI. And I cross-pollinated. In fact, I did a survey with my BNI group. I said, I had about 20 people. I said, how many people here are a member of the Chamber of Commerce? And only one hand went up out of 20 people. And I said, I'm going to guess the reason why you're not a member of the Chamber because it didn't work. How'd you know? Because you probably didn't know how to work a chamber. Most people don't get the most out of their networks because they don't know how to work those networks. And so I have a whole formula on how to work a network. If you want to find out more about that, you can email me. But finding the right networks and cross-pollinate those networks. Why would I want to cross-pollinate? Why would I want to get my Rotarian members, a member of my referral group or my NARPM group to be part of my Rotarian group and my chamber group? This is a very important factor here.
They'll talk about you to the other groups.
Number one reason, they'll talk about you to the other groups. What brings you here? Oh, Jim brought me. Who's Jim? You don't know Jim? How do you not know Jim? He's a speaker, trainer. Oh my God. Right? Or I'm here with Barry with Junk King. You know, he loves junk. I don't know why he loves junk, but he loves junks. And Barry invited me, and I just wanted to come with Barry. Barry's a great guy. I mean, how do you not know Barry? I mean, he's the junk guy. He's the king of it, to be too honest. Right? Because they'll talk about you. Why else would you want to do that?
If you want to get referrals, you got to get them.
You want to get referrals, you want to give referrals. Helping them build their network helps you build your network. What goes around comes around, I believe. If you do it strategically, it works even better. But the other reason is I want to be able to see each other more often. I want to be able to invite you to my Rotarian group and my chamber group and my NARPM group so that I see you more than just once a month in some cases, or twice a month. The more I see you, the more I can build a relationship with you. And I believe there are the riches in the relationships if you know how to work those. So, and I say this because, again, if you want to get referrals, often people have their chamber group, their church group, their NARPM group, and they shall not meet. Whereas I want them to meet. Because I might meet Charlene, and Charlene might know the next person who then is the person who does business with me. We all know people, it's just accessing those people. That's why I would want to cross-pollinate them. So again, to start to find the referrals, pick 2, no more than 3 networks, and you can build your business. Within that network, learn how to work that network. If you want, you can Google me on YouTube and how to take the work out of networking. There's a whole talk on how to work chambers, and it's free. Just help yourself to it. You just got to find it. I did it in 2009 in Florida, but the principles still apply. Essentially what it says in the videos is if you want to work your networks, you have to have a plan before, during, and after the event. Does anybody know what a 90-minute wonder is? It's a person who goes to a networking event, stands in the corner for 90 minutes and wonder why it doesn't work. A lot of times it's bankers and sitting next to each other, and then they just sit together. All the bankers sit together, and they're wondering why it doesn't work because you're all bankers sitting next to each other, right? And so I want to work my network by having a plan before. Which network am I going to go to? What do I want to get out of it? But more importantly, what am I going to give when I get there? During, have a plan. And then after, help other people get what they want, so I in turn will get what I want. Questions, comments, or thoughts before I move on to the meat of the matter today? Thoughts, comments, perspectives, experiences.
Can you repeat the 3 steps that you just mentioned about before, after, during, and after?
Sure. So I want to have a plan before I go, have a plan during and after. So before, I want to figure out what network to go to, because not all networks are created equal. Some of the networks out there, to include B&I groups, suck. They do. Some are great. Some are too structured. 2 are too many fun. I mean, we have 3 women's groups in Richmond, Virginia. And I've asked the women who are members of that, what do you get out of it? First one, I get the support of other successful business women. Other one goes, it's where we just really just be able to support each other personally. And the other one is we're there to do business, right? And there's nothing wrong with any one of those, but it's depending what you're looking for. If you're looking to be around other successful women, then you want to be around other successful women. If you want to be around women who just want to help each other support personally, that's fine too if you don't have that support network, but I don't necessarily want to do that with my network. I'd rather be able to do business with each other. So they each have their reasons for it, and so I want to be able to pick the right network. And then I want to have a goal in mind. I remember one year my assistant was going to a holiday party, and I said, why are you going? She goes, holiday party.
Oh, I thought you said Holly.
No, holiday. I apologize. I get very passionate and I tend to talk fast. When I moved to Richmond, yeah, I do. When I moved to Richmond, a woman came up to me and said, son, you're in the South. It's time for you to slow down. So I usually tell audiences to tell me to slow down. So, ma'am, I got it. Thank you very much. And I learned the term y'all, and then plural is all y'all, which is pretty cool. Someone said last week, Pennsylvanians can't say that. So we say yous guys. So what is my goal at it? So I was talking to my assistant. She was going to go to a holiday party. And I said, why are you going? She goes, well, can't I go? I'm like, no, you can go. Why are you going? She goes, I don't understand the question. I said, I'm thinking you're going just to go. Yeah, but I would be going with a purpose and a plan to help somebody. So during, what do I do during? I hate talking about myself. When someone asks me what I do, I can say speaker, trainer, consultant. I can say I'm a business coach. I help people get a life beyond the business. Unlike most people, I don't like talking about myself when it comes to my business. What I do love is helping people. And what do most people want help with when they go networking? Meeting people. So moving to Richmond knowing no one, I started meeting someone and asking them what they do, but more importantly, who do they want to meet? And then I meet the next person, what do they do, who do they want to meet? And I started becoming a matchmaker. And I got known in the city of Richmond as being Mr. Connected, Mr. Networker, because I would make connections. And I believe, and I've experienced it, what goes around comes around. So I would have a plan, what kind of plan I would have. During, I would have, for those of you, there was a comment made today that a lot of times people sit together. That's a safety mechanism. I don't fault anybody for that, because it's probably a lot of times they're introverts and they don't want, it's hard for them. So how I'm a borderline introvert extrovert. I've developed to be more extrovert because of my speaking, as I have a routine when I go networking. So for me to get comfortable in sitting down to total strangers took a long time. I'm still a little uncomfortable, but I have a routine every time I go into the room. So when I get to an event, the first thing I do is I go to the name tag table and I get my name tag. And then I look at the other name tags to see if I know anybody that I can connect with or anybody I want to meet. Then I go into the room and I look around the room where the speaker's gonna be and all that other stuff. And I figure out where I'm gonna sit. And as I do this routine, my nerves come down. Then I get probably a glass of water, and then I go back out to the name tag table, because I was a blur when I first walked in. I was nervous. I see the name tags again, and I just stand by the table welcoming and greeting people. And then as I meet them, I connect them. And I believe what goes around comes around. In fact, one time I was networking in a chamber and I was doing this connecting, and this woman came up to me, no joke, and said, if you don't tell me what you do, because I never talked about myself, because I'm helping other people, I'm gonna get upset. And I was like, well, I run a referral group, and I help people get connection. Like, you probably want to meet Bob, and then I introduce you to Bob, and then I walk away. And so she really doesn't know exactly what I did, but she wanted to know that's when you know you've won, when people ask you what you do. And then after, I want to be able to connect with people, not sell people. So there's a lot of affiliates here today, and you probably want to sit down with some of the property managers, and the first thing you're going to want to do is what? Show up and throw up. Let me tell you how great my rekey business is, or my plumbing business is. I seen a sign that says your number 2 is our number 1. So it's on the back of a truck. I was like, okay, that's a good tagline. So the reverse of that, right? Yeah. But the first thing I want to do if I'm sitting down, I'm an affiliate sitting down with a property manager, I want to find out about them. After, I want to connect with them. I want to build a relationship with them, because relationships refer. That's the secret to that. So that would be what I would say again, and then, so that's before, during, and after. Okay? Any other questions, comments, or thoughts? Okay. So let's get into the meat of it. So if you find 2 to 3 networks based on your target market, and you work that network by having a plan before, during, and after, the last thing to do is to identify, find 6 to 8 referral partners. Write that down or remember that. It only takes 6 to 8 referral partners to build your business through referrals. Technically, it only takes 3. The problem with only having 3, though, is if one quits, moves away, you lose a third of your referrals. So if you're developing a relationship with 6 to 8, ultimately 3 will refer you on a regular, consistent basis. Okay? So 2 to 3 networks. Have a plan before, during, and after, and look for 6 to 8 referral partners or strategic partners to build a rapport with. The trick of the trade is, who are those 6 to 8 referral partners? Most people pick the wrong referral partners, that's why they don't get referrals. Give you an example. How many realtors are in the room? Raise of hands. And of the realtors, how many realtors ever joined a referral group? Raise of hands. And you don't have to raise your hands for this, but how many people joined that referral group and it didn't work for you? Right? It didn't work for you. Like realtors said, well, B&I didn't work for me, or LaTips didn't work for me. And I'm going to say it probably because they didn't know how to work it. Because they built the wrong referral group. So if I was a realtor getting into a referral group, typically what happens, you have the realtor, who the first person to get in the group is the mortgage person. Then they get a closing attorney or a title company, a property casualty insurance person. The problem with this is that the referrals flow down, not up. Where does a mortgage person get the referrals from? Realtors. Where does a closing attorney get the referrals from? Realtors. Where does a property and casualty, home insurance person get their referrals from? Realtors. They rarely refer up. Some do, rare do, but some do. And that's why most realtors in referral groups, networking groups, starve. Because they built what's called a transaction, what I would call power team or referral team. Whereas what I want to do is create a prospect power team, a proactive power team. So if I was a realtor and I was building a group, the people that I would get in, I would get the realtor, I get a moving company, a painting company, assistant living company. Why would I do that? Call all the family needs. What percentage of people moving are most likely going to sell their house? 80%. What percentage of people getting their house painted most likely will need more business? Or they're getting a house painted, most likely are moving? 25%. And then assistant living facility, how many people are going to sell their house? 100%. So most likely these people will refer them a lot of business. And then they will not starve. The realtor will be more successful, sell more houses, refer more people. In fact, it's funny about the painting thing. When I finally figured out a painter could be the #1 referral source to a realtor, I called up a realtor and I said, hey, you know who could be your best referral source? A painter. And she goes, I do have one of those already. But she didn't tell anybody And why is a painter a good referral source for a realtor? What's the first thing people do before they sell their house? Paint it. What's the first thing they shouldn't do before they sell their house? Paint it, because they'll pick the wrong paint. They should call the realtor to be able to pick the paint, to be able to make it more sellable. And so we think differently, then we'll get different results. Thoughts, comments, and perspectives? Yes?
Well, that's good if you're selling homes. What's the group for managing homes?
A great question. Let's not jump too far ahead, but yes. But I just want to make the case because a lot of you are realtors and you were wondering why you're not getting referrals. I mean, I held this. The mortgage person doesn't refer me. Why would he or she? They have 8 relationships with 8 other realtors. Now, if you want to earn those referrals, that's a different story. But they always would come to me complaining why these people aren't referring, because it's not how that works in most cases. But this case, it happens all the time. Now, you would want both, by the way, because the more successful the realtor becomes, the more these people want to refer you because they don't want to lose your business, and that's a whole other conversation. But we'll talk about that, because in this room, when I asked, what do you want to get out of it today, I know some of you were thinking you wanted this, and others wanted what you wanted was that. And so I don't want to give it too far ahead, but give me a minute to give people any thoughts, comments, or perspectives. Give me another example, just for fun of it. So if I wanted more listings as a realtor, I would get a divorce attorney, nursing home, carpet cleaner, HVAC, funeral director, and a headhunter. These deal with people in life transitions. And usually 90% of the time, they're dealing with people in life transitions. If you want to get a lot more referrals, get up with those types of people. If I was going to be a high-end realtor, I would want to do a landscaper, a jeweler, an investment advisor, an interior designer. Why? A landscaper, jeweler, investment advisor, and interior designer. Because they deal with more affluent people. So if you want $250,000 houses, go after anybody. If you want $1 million houses, go after those people. So that is one of the ways of building your referral-based business, is who you associate yourself with. So going to your question for property managers, okay? I now need you to do me a favor. If you would do me a favor, I would like for you to write down on a piece of paper. There's an agenda on your table or your phone. You can pull out notes and stuff like that. Do me a favor and do it in your head. Write down the last 3 owners you brought on board. Write down in your head your last 3 owners, and I'm telling you, if you do this exercise, it's extremely powerful. If you don't, I'll be hurt. I'm just saying. Where do your last 3 owners come from?
Where'd they come from?
Where'd they come from? So say I just brought in a portfolio of 15 doors. I got it from Mr. Johnson. Okay? I brought on a new owner who has 3 properties as Mrs. Johnson, not related in any form or fashion. Last owner I brought in, I was at Chunky Cheese and they had 1 door. Okay. I'll wait 10 more seconds. The last 3 owners you brought on board, where did they come from?
I got all 3 from Google searches.
Google searches, got it. Who else? Where did you get them from?
Realtors?
Realtors? Who specifically?
Who specifically?
Yes. First name?
Mike.
Mike. Okay. Mike. So, thank you for volunteering, by the way. Mike. Just kidding. Who was that?
From my friends.
Your friend. Name the friend's first name.
Not a good friend.
Mike.
Mike. Mike. Oh, but, hey, did you hear about that?
Maybe same guy.
I don't know. Mike. Okay.
The Atlanta Housing Authority.
Yeah. I will give you a free therapy session. You call me and we'll talk, okay? We'll talk. Okay.
In my property management business, Gordon.
Gordon. Great, you got it from Gordon. What does Gordon do, by the way?
Connects people.
Connects people. Okay, good.
An owner.
An owner. Where'd you get him from? Oh, so you, okay, owner. So an owner. Cool. Got it, owner.
No, an existing owner referred another owner.
Perfect. So an existing owner referred another owner. That was the answer I was looking for. Okay? Now, I want all these answers, but what I'm getting at is that sometimes where you get your best referrals are from people you already know. And a lot of times we don't work the people we already know because what? We've already asked them for referrals. They didn't have any referrals, so they must be out of referrals. No, probably when you asked them, they didn't have any referrals. If you asked again in the right period of time, they might have referrals. So number one answer that people get their owners, at least I've found so far, is through realtors. Okay? And two of the answers were realtors. Or at least one of them was realtors.
I got one from a referral from a NARPM member, which was a realtor.
Realtor, right? And so a lot of times it's looking at where you got your existing owners, whereas where you go to network, it's where you work your networks, it's who you get your referrals from. So if it were me, and we had time, I would have you write down all the last 10 sales, the last 10 owners that you brought on board. Let me take a brief breath. What I'm about to say to you is a game changer. A game changer that most people don't do. And when they do this, the ahas that I've seen has been mind-blowing. If you go back and you write down where your last 10 owners come from, if that's what you want more owners, and ask yourself, where did they come from? Like, truly think where they came from. Don't guess where they came from. Don't do the mistake that I did when this first happened to me. I was building a B&I group, and I got 6 referrals from Chris Poe out in Charlottesville, Virginia. And my mentor was asking me, who's your number one referral source? And I said, that would be Chris Poe with Northwestern Mutual. He referred me 6 people. That's my number one referral source. He goes, I would disagree with you. Okay. Why? He goes, where did you meet Chris Poe? And I said, oh, from Mark Bodie in Richmond, Virginia. So he said, then Mark Bodie would be your number one referral source. I'm like, I'm not getting it. Mark gave me 1 person, which was Chris Poe, and Chris gave me 6. Don't get it. He goes, where do you think Mark Bodie met Chris Poe? I don't know. He goes, they're a member of the top of the table in the industry. They are the top 100 in the entire country for Northwestern Mutual. They get together once a quarter. And Mark Bodie knows at least a dozen other Chris Poes. And if you would have built a relationship with Mark Bodie, you would have how many more Chris Poes, where would your business be today? And I was like, boom. Mind blown. And the point was that I didn't take the time to look at where my clients truly come from. So if you look at the last 10 sales you made. So for those of you affiliates in the room, take the last 10 sales you got. Where did you get those from? Where did that person come from? So she got one from the owner who got it from the owner. I'd like to find out where that owner came from because what I find is like-minded people hang out with like-minded people. Broke people hang out with broke people. Rich people hang out with rich people. Section 8 people hang out with Section 8 people. I knew I'd throw that in for you. Your gold, a lot of times, is your current database. You just haven't taken the time to take a look at it. You haven't, and that's what I have to teach people all the time is look what you already have, because you already have the relationship. It's just building the relationship so that they want to refer even more to you. So this can't be done intellectually, it has to be done physically. You physically need to write down your last 10 sales, whether you're an affiliate, property manager, realtor, whatever industry you're in. Write down your 10 sales and ask you, where did that come from, where did that come from, where did that come from? And then, did that come from something, 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 something? For some of you, it's like it came from an advertising. Yeah, probably not. It's probably the advertising was a trigger to come to you. Or I met him at Rotary. Yeah, probably not, because you probably met that person at a coffee shop after a networking event, and by 3 years later, you think it was Rotary. It was something deeper than that. So that's where I would find referrals, is through your current networks. Looking at where you got your last 10 sales, analyzing those sales to find out where they truly came from. Now there is one situation that I had many years ago where I did this exercise with a phone vendor. She did phone systems, and her last 10 sales were from cold calling. And I realized that she was a killer cold caller, and she wasn't a good relationship builder. Good person, but referral relationships was not her thing. She built her business on cold calling. That was the only incident that I found that she should stick to cold calling because it's just more natural for her than the time it takes to build a relationship through a referral network. So I have a little bit of time left. I want to know if you have any questions, comments, or thoughts before I finish up with the last bit of information. Yes?
When I was asking earlier about paying for referrals, I wasn't actually talking about money. I'm thinking along the lines of, if you want to have a friend, you need to be a friend. If you make them look good, your friends want to refer you. What I was thinking more along the lines of is frequency and quality. In other words, how do you pay for referrals? How often do you have lunch with these folks? How often do you meet them for breakfast? How often is a phone conversation enough? That's more what I meant related to how do you engage and invest in the relationship.
Sure. So I can share from my experience. So the question was, how do you what is your referral fee if there's a referral fee? How do you build a referral relationship? How often should you sit down with them, have coffee, and things like that? This is this thing that I've learned and I've taught that's worked really well. So when I first built my business, I didn't have any referral relationships. So I was new to this stuff and I didn't know where to start. So I went to my mentor and I said, what do I do? And he told me what to do. So the first thing that I did to build a referral-based business was write down names, up to 15 names of people I think could refer me. Okay? And then I got to figure out, of those 15, bless you, of those 15 referrals, I had to figure out who was willing to refer me. So it's a matter of spending time with these people. Okay? So I like to equate it to warming up water. So you have different degrees of water. You have 98.6, that is body temperature. It's really not a relationship. It's the beginning, like anybody in this room would be 98.6 with me. Then I would go to 108 degrees. I would call that the hot tub club. Hot tub goes about 108 degrees. It's really, really comfortable and warm and great, but it gives you no results. And a lot of people have a 108-degree relationship. We like each other, but we're not referring each other. In fact, when I spoke in Ireland on this topic, I pair people up when I have time, and I take them through this relationship exercise, and I paired these two people up, and they go, oh, we know each other. We have lunch every week. I'm like, I'm sorry, but you sat next to her. It's your problem, not mine. So I paired them up, took this through this exercise, and when they were done, she went, wow. And I go, what do you mean, wow? No joke. They had been meeting every week for lunch for 4 years straight. And her aha was, she could refer me business. I was like, what? I mean, never thought of her being able to refer me business in 4 years. And I said, what are you going to do with it? Well, we're going to refer each other business. By the end of the day, I got a phone call that they referred one of the biggest deals of her career. Because they didn't go into the riches in the relationships. So it was what I call the hot tub club. Then you get up to 200 degrees. Then you get 211 degrees. And ultimately you get up to 212 degrees, which is boiling point. And boiling point and using boiling water, what happens when you boil water, you get steam. And steam is for energy. And you can actually get a steam engine to move things and create a civilization. The difference between 211 to 212 degrees is just 1 degree. And most of us are taking our referral partners up to 211 and then backing off. What happens if you take a boiling pot of water off the stove? It cools down. If you stop staying in touch with your referral partners, what happens to your relationship? It cools down. It's no different. And so to answer your question, what I do is I tend to sit down with them having coffee, getting to know them and their business, figuring out who they want to be introduced to, referring them, getting them closed business, and repeating it. So again, I sit down with somebody, get to know them and their goals, figure who they want to be introduced to, get them a referral, get them closed business. Sit down with somebody, get to know them and their business, get to know their goals. Sit down with somebody, get to know them and their business. And by the time I start doing this enough times, this starts to boil. I start to get referrals. Not only just from these people, but the other people that I'm working in the relationships, and it starts to boil over with the referrals that I get. And the trick of it is if I help you grow your business, you in turn will help me get business. Let me say that again. I use the exact words I meant to say. If I help you grow your business, you'll help me get business. What do I mean by help somebody grow their business? And I'm being very careful with my words. What do I mean by helping somebody grow their business?
Turn business out of people, opportunities that they need.
I try to get them beyond their obstacles, whether they're personal, professional, financial, business related, so that they can grow, and in turn, if they grow, they'll help me get business. For example, no joking, but Charlene jokes about Section 8. In Section 8, I'm telling you, she's serious. And I gave her my card for a free therapy session on purpose. Because if I can help her to get out of Section 8, how loyal or committed or indebted would she feel to me if I got her out of Section 8? Probably significantly. And then in the NARPM relationships that I have over the last 4 years, she'd say, what can I do to help you? And I said, I don't know. I would love to get business from so-and-so in your chapter. Or I would be able to meet so-and-so in NARPM Corporate. And she'd go, consider it done. Because you helped me get beyond my whatever she was facing. See, when I sit down with people, it isn't to give them business, it's to help them grow their businesses. So their challenges could be as simple as, I don't have enough time. Or I don't have a babysitter, or my car broke down, or I don't know how to tap into this network. I become a problem solver for the people I sit down with. I truly become a problem solver. People come to me when they have problems, and I typically have somebody in my network that can probably solve that problem. Affiliates in the room. Affiliates in the room, I wouldn't worry about what you sell. I'd be worrying about helping the property managers grow their property management business, because the more doors they get, the more business you get. And if you help them by helping them with the resources you know, the other affiliates you know, the other people you know that they may not know to grow their business, and it's not just giving them doors, it's giving them resources that helps them to get the number of doors that they need. So if I help you get what you want, hopefully in turn you'll feel guilty. I mean, you would want to help me get what I want. Okay? So that's what I would do. As it relates to referral fees, I don't believe in referral fees. I believe the best fee you can pay me is doing a good job, as you said. In other words, if you give me a referral, I'm going to make you look good. And by making you look good, we build our relationship. Now, if you're going to do a referral fee, because some people just can't help themselves, you might want to consider not giving cash. One year, during March Madness, interesting that it was in March Madness, I thought I'd test this out. So I did a referral program to my clients, and I said, if you refer me a client that becomes a person that becomes a client, I will give you a choice of $250 towards your coaching services, $250 towards your coaching services, a $100 gift certificate to your favorite restaurant, or a $100 gift certificate to your favorite retail store. What do you think people picked?
Coaching services.
No.
All of the above, because each person had a different motivator. I didn't expect that. One person goes, I don't need your coaching services, I write you off. But my anniversary's coming up, so if you can give me a free restaurant, I'll be good in my wife's eyes. Another guy said, give me a Apple Card. I'm like, Apple Card? Yes. My wife said if I buy another app, she's going to yell at me. So now I can buy a bunch of apps with this. Each person's different, so I don't want to box them into $25 gift cards to nothing or cash. That may not be a motivator. Some people will refer you just because it's you. I've had people say to you, Jim, you don't have to give me anything. I didn't know you needed referrals. I thought you didn't need it. I'm like, who doesn't need referrals? Hello? Sometimes they just need to know that you need referrals. And so I don't necessarily pay for referrals. I tend to do a good job at make people look good when they do that. Okay? How do you ask for referrals? There's different way of asking for referrals. So one of my life insurance agents years and years ago did this, and I thought it was brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. When he sits down with you, he says, if I do a good job, and only if I do a good job, would you be willing to refer me? I'm like, well, yeah, if you do a good job, and only if you do a good job, I'm willing to refer you. Of course. He goes, okay, great. So we start his process. It took close to a year to get my policy. And we get to the point where he's finishing up. He says, remember when I asked you if I did a good job, and only if I did a good job, you'd be willing to refer me? I go, yeah. Well, did I do a good job? Of course you did a good job. In fact, I feel bad that I haven't brought you referrals. You waited so long to do my life insurance, up to a year. I feel guilty. Okay, what just happened? Like literally that happened. I'm like going, what just happened? Because he did a good job, and he set it up in the very beginning, and he checked before he asked for the referrals, did he do a good job? I said, of course you did a good job. You waited literally a year to write my life insurance policy. Would you be referring me? He goes, yes. Let me figure out who I can refer you to. I feel like I owe you. He said, life insurance, I owe him? That's how he did it so well. So there's one of the ways of asking referrals. Another way that I do in asking referrals is I do a survey every time someone comes on board with our classes and courses. I ask them, what are they looking to get out of the course or class or out of our coaching or consulting? What are 2 to 3 things that they want to get out that's worth their investment? So if they spend X amount of dollars, I want them to tell me what they can get to get the money back. And if we do a good job and only do a good job, would you be willing to refer us? And then last is, what can we do to make it easier for people to refer us? That's a question I would add. If I go up to one of your best customers, clients, someone who's referred you, can I ask you a question? We're looking for more referrals in 2018, and we're looking for our clients and our contacts that we refer. Can you give us any ideas on how we can make it easier for our clients to refer us? It's a way of asking referrals without asking for referrals, because I hate rejection, so that's my approach. Some people just ask, which is fine, but don't ask too soon in the process. And I did do that. I went to a Mary Kay person and I said to her, what can we do? She goes, just give me flyers and I'll refer you. I'm like, give you flyers? Yeah, give me flyers. I'm like, I didn't have a flyer. I guess I got to make one. Because all my stuff was through word of mouth. And so sometimes it's knowing that you need referrals. By asking that question, you go, I didn't know you need referrals. No problem. I need a flyer. Or I had workshops. I do workshops and I refer people refer to the workshops. Because you can't go up to someone and say, your business is screwed up. Talk to Jim Roman. That doesn't go over very well. But hey, Jim's doing a free talk on how to have a life beyond the business, how to put processes so your people can perform so you can have a life. And that's the way I got people to refer me, by doing these free workshops and seminars, was another way people can refer me in my business. Okay. So I have 10 minutes left. What haven't I covered that you wanted me to cover? How to say no. I remember that. I wrote that, circle that sucker. So The way I would understand your question is you get a bad referral. I guess what you're saying, you get a bad referral. The person who's giving the referral may give you a bad referral. That's not a bad thing because they're at least thinking about you. But what I say to people, the way my business works is, first off, for my business to work, you need to call them. Because when I call people, they never take my call because they don't know who I am. So my business works by you calling them.
Them being the person who referred or the referral?
Well, that's just in referrals in general. When someone gives me a bad referral, I typically want to be able, if it's a referral partner, we should be meeting once a month minimally. If I have a referral partner, the question how much often, at least once a month, I would prefer touching base twice a month. So you meet once a month, and then 2 weeks later, you talk on the phone. Meet once a month, 2 weeks later, talk on the phone. Why? Because out of sight, out of mind. If you're not staying in front of them, they're not thinking of you. It's funny, I used to have a routine where I would call my certain members of my networks on Mondays and Thursdays. I call them on Monday to see how the weekend was, and they didn't go, I don't remember the weekend. What are you looking for this week? I haven't thought about it, I'm still into the weekend. Okay. So then on Thursday I would call them and say, hey, how you doing? I'm still surviving from the weekend. Okay, it's Thursday. Who are you looking for? I haven't thought about it. And after 2 or 3 calls, them saying, I haven't thought about it, I'm like, well, have you thought about this? Have you thought, oh no, I haven't thought about that. And they're thanking me for thinking that. So I had a frequency of Mondays and Thursdays where I call them on Mondays because I know they're not thinking about me and they're not thinking about their business. And then on Thursdays, I'm making sure they remind them. And I made this a routine and I developed 3 referral sources that helped me build my businesses. And then once a month or twice every 2 weeks talking to somebody. So if someone gives you a bad referral, you simply say, hey, the way my business works is the phrase that I've used. The way my business works is they need to be this size property. They need to be this size company. They need to be in this target market. Because that's how my business works. Was the best way that I go about saying no is that thank you, but the way my business works is this criteria. Does that make sense? That's how I do it. Because a lot of times, well, thank you, I'll follow up on the lead, and then it's not a really good use of my time, and I'm trying to make sure you're happy. 9 times out of 10, they didn't know, and they would love to know so they can give you better referrals. In my case, when I was running BNI, I would get a good referral for me when I started BNI is anybody who wants to get into a networking group. Why? Because I had nobody in my networking groups. Then over time, as I built up the groups, I said anybody who has visited a group would be good for me. Because I found that you can't explain BNI over the phone. You just can't. You can't explain NARPM sometimes over the phone. You got to come to NARPM, right? And so eventually I got to a point where they visited BNI group, right? Well, I forgot to tell my referral partner that that was the case. So he kept on giving me names of people who were thinking about BNI, and then I started talking bad about him in my trainings, but I didn't mention Tom's name, his name. And then someone said, did you ever tell Tom? And I went, oh, I've never told Tom. I was so embarrassed. And so I went up to Tom with my tail between my legs and I said, Tom, I want to apologize. I've been talking bad about you. And a good referral for me is someone who's visited BNI or NARPM and experienced it. He goes, okay, Jim. Next thing you know it, he hands me a check. And he goes, here's a referral, Jim, a check. And I said, well, where's the application? He goes, well, I figured an application was a good referral, but the best referral would be just the check. I go, I need both. He goes, I'm just messing with you because you were talking bad about me. And the point of that is, I never educated him. As my business grew, any door was a good referral for me. But then as I get bigger, I don't want any door. I want a profitable door. Or I want a certain type of door or a certain type of client. And so that's the educational process. So if you're meeting with them once a month over coffee, talking to them 2 weeks later, then once a month again, and you're helping each other, educating people as your business grows, then they're going to help you grow your business. Okay? Have I covered? I didn't cover Section 8. We'll cover it later when we talk. We talked about referrals. Is there any last things I can share with you in 3 minutes that I didn't cover? So, in summary, pick the right network. Find the networks that will work for you, that have the target market that you want. 2 to 3, no more. Go deep in those networks by having a plan before, during, and after. After, sit down with 6 to 8 people, develop those relationships, warm those relationships up, and those referrals will turn into more referrals. So in closing, what is one thing that you got out of today? One thing you got out of today that you can take and act on this? If you would please share.
2 to 3 networks.
2 to 3 networks, yes.
Going deeper, where did the lead actually come from?
Yeah, where did the lead come from? You'd be amazed sometimes. Real quick, I had a chiropractor. We wrote down her last 10 patients. What do the 10 patients have in common? She said nothing. I said, okay, so she went and grabbed a cup of coffee, and I'm like, okay, where are your 10 patients from? By the time she got back from her coffee, she says, I know. She said that 8 of the 10 are using essential oils. I said 9 of the 10 all ride horses. She actually rides horses at her friend's stable, and that's where she gets most of her referrals, from her stable. And she never put 2 and 2 together, that 80% of her business is coming from one person, one location. And there you can start to market and figure out how you want to go about doing that. One last thing, what else?
Existing clients, if you haven't talked to them for a while, what's the best way to get them to refer?
Your existing clients, what's the best way to refer them is earn their referrals first by calling them and just checking in with them. Calling in, if you're talking about owners, then you're calling up the owners, just checking in. Don't check in about the reports or their monies or their art. Just call in and see how they're doing. Just schedule your time once a month to call your owners just to check in and see how they're doing. Was there anything wrong with my properties? No. I was just checking in to see how you're doing. And if you do that 3 times, they're going to want to do something for you. And find out what networks they belong to. I'll leave you with this. People belong to networks. Your owners hang out with people just like them, just like the owner. Find out what networks they belong to and get involved in those networks. It may not be appropriate depending if it's national or if they're another country.